Today we're joined by one of South Africa's sharpest minds, Chester Missing, and his puppet handler, Conrad Koch, who's also a comedian and anthropologist and a ventriloquist, the creator of Chester Missing as well. Of course, a puppet who says what a lot of people think, but perhaps at times are too afraid to say. We'll be in conversation with them, find out their journey, and what else we can expect. Let's check it out. Conrad, it's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for coming through, Liesl. I really appreciate you guys making time.
Look, the country is in an interesting situation and there's lots to talk about. But I think just before we get into some of those, I wanted to know about your journey, ventriloquism, meeting politics, masters in anthropology. I mean, you really understand human design. But tell us about that journey. How would you have, collided in so many spheres, ultimately then use it through your work?
I grew up in Cape Town, in Rondebosch, which is hello. It's this kind of place you can see someone complain about the temperature of a cappuccino to a dude who lives in a shack. It's just madness. And I was born sort of late 70s, and so I grew up in the 80s in Cape Town, in apartheid South Africa. And when you're in apartheid South Africa and you're white, no one sits down and goes, unless you come from quite a struggle or very aware family, sits down and goes, hey man, apartheid's going on. And my mother did, to some degree. She pointed out how many advantages I have as the white kid in South Africa. But the full impact of apartheid only really got shown to me when I studied social anthropology at UCT. It was like an extra subject I just studied because my gran said, just choose anthropology, it's easy, and she liked it. She was an anthropology fan. And then I did, and it really got me. Remember, I studied anthropology while the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was happening. What happened is my entire worldview shifted because the matrix, at least of racism and how South Africa works, got shown to me. And that shaped what I have to say. Also, comedy, there was no comedy. You guys have to understand, it's pre-94. There weren't comedy gigs that were it was like racism. That was all there was, and a couple of people doing like Evita Bezaid notes, doing resistance stuff. And so when I say we, I mean Kagiso Lediga, David Cow, Loy Gol a bit later on, Stuart Taylor, etc., Riyad Musa. We started getting on stage together and created an industry, and I was around people of color, very aware, and so that created who Chester became later on.
It's one thing for people who make it into your show to laugh at other people, but I wonder how they also receive the commentary when the joke is turned on them. But in the same breath, if we're looking at the borderline balance between satire and defamation, how do you balance that for yourself, both professionally and also legally?
You see, I'm very cautious about reading the political dynamics, so I say what is fair. So, in other words, if I'm going to roast John Steenhuisen, it'll be about something that's legitimate. Like, he doesn't seem to have that much pride. Tried to leave the ANC now, make the GNU, leave the GNU, and then couldn't. He couldn't even leave a WhatsApp group. Helen Zille's always acting like she's in charge. So to call him Helen Zille's puppet and Ramaphosa's puppet isn't defamation. It's just what any political analyst will describe is going on. So because I did a master's degree in this to understand the social dynamics, it's not defamation. If I go after Jacob Zuma, I won't mock him for his accent. I won't mock him for his identity. I'll be cautious when talking about his larger family. I do talk about it because I think there's a level of abuse he's doing with it, and quite literally when it comes to the rape allegations and so on. So the reason people go, you're going to get sued. It's like, no, I'm not, because I know what I'm talking about, and if I do feel like I'm dealing with someone particularly problematic, I actually check with the lawyers first.
Let's get into that, because there's a lot of themes that are in our society right now. It's quite topical. We saw that press conference on Sunday by General Nkwanazi. You've also got the judiciary in the spotlight, given what's happening with Justice Benenge.
I know. Mr. Emojis. Who knew?
Absolutely.
No doesn't mean no if you're a judge in the Eastern Cape.
Wow. So I'm going to ask you for some commentary on that. But even if we're just looking up beyond our borders, there's geopolitics. Conrad, you alluded to that a little bit.
What is geopolitics? It's like larger. I don't know what you do geography and politics. What's geopolitics? Is that where I use my Google Maps to find politicians? America's insane. Did you see that? Did you see Ramaphosa in the White House? You know what Trump's first mistake was? What? He turned the lights off at the start. He didn't know that we're South African. That makes us feel at home, Liesl.
But you at least have support that gives you perspective into what else is happening. You've got Conrad, you've got some of the other puppets that are going to be joining you on stage. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, this show is called Puppet Power because it's about the dynamics in the world right now.
Yeah.
It's so much so. We've got an ostrich, that's the ostrich, that I make out of 2 feather dusters and a croc. You're going to put me away? No, help! Lizzo!
We'll find you again. We'll find you again.
Phone R3 Forum, Lizzo! I'm she phone R3 Forum. They're doing it again. You know, I'm being genocided. No, so this show, so for example, when I was a kid, I couldn't get great puppets, right? So I got 2 feather dusters because it was 90s and late 80s.
Yeah.
And so I got 2 feather dusters and an old coat hanger, well, I call it a coat hanger, in Joburg, it's a khaki. And, and then I got a sock. I got an old sock. And I put them all together there.
Oh.
It's almost there. And I got a croc. That's an old shoe. And this is my friend. His name is Hilton. Hello, Liesl. Thank you for coming to our show. It's fantastic.
I love the attire. Green is one of my favorite colors.
Thank you. As you can see, Hilton is what am I? Well, you've got wings, but they're not for flying. I'm an SAA pilot.
Okay.
You got a very small brain and very long legs. I'm a social media influencer. So in the show, you won't come and feel awkward because I mocked gay people. You won't come and feel funny because I made someone's accent the joke. You know, people of color often feel quite attacked. But I still go into issues, as you saw the Pinky Brown joke. I still talk about race, but I know what I'm doing as far as that's on. So if you want something deeper, it's there. But if you just want to laugh, South Africans come together most when we laugh together. I really believe that. We have an amazing sense of humor, and it's because as South Africans, we have people who have gone through the hardest times. And the biggest coping mechanism when you've gone through a hard time is laughter, which is why I have this ridiculous sense of humor here that I don't think you get as much of in the States or Australia or something.
Well, Conrad, thank you for making us laugh at ourselves, and thank you for being part of that important conversation starter. Thank you for shaking up the system with your satire. We're just wishing you all the best of luck, and long live Chester and the work that you're doing.